if you were to rewind, Bryan, to the beginning of your elliptigo journey and kind of relate that to someone who's at the front end of their own, entrepreneurial journey, in an ideal world, what do you wish you had known then, or what would you wish that, or would want someone else kind of starting their own journey to know at the front end that would help carry them through?
I think one of the things, and maybe this goes back to Brian Smith's sort of, you can't give birth to an adult. I think it's helpful to start a company when you don't know what the hell you're doing. Because if you really knew, like if I really knew 15 years down the road, like I'd be sitting in my laundry room, right, with a 12-person team, like working at ElliptiGO. Like, I don't know, that's not, like, if you knew that was the path and all the hardship you were going to have to go to get here, maybe you wouldn't do it. So I think there's a importance in sort of being naive enough to start a company, because I don't think it's a rational act. It certainly doesn't pencil out on an economic scale. Almost no matter what your exit is, there's way more lucrative ways to like build a career than starting a company. So it's not a rational decision. So I think that the important thing is to have something about what you're going to be doing that really draws you towards it, and you think it's important, and you're willing to do whatever it takes. I think you have to have an attitude of, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this thing successful. Because if you don't, I don't think you're going to get there, because it's going to be brutal. It's going to be miserable. There's going to be a lot of really bad things that come your way that are unfair, that just the world shakes it against you. And if this is just a job, there's a lot easier jobs out there that'll pay you a lot more money. So it can't just be a job, I think, is probably the most important. This has to be like, it's back to Simon's point, like you have to be an evangelist. Like you have to be like touched by God about this thing you're trying to do. It has to piss you off that it like isn't, the world isn't the way it could be. Like it almost has to be personal. But the other thing, and again, you got to hold these totally conflicting thoughts together at the same time. Like it has to be very personal, but you somehow have to detach yourself from it so that if it does blow up, it doesn't like ruin your entire personhood. Like you have to see this thing that you're so invested in as separate from yourself, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs can get into really bad depression and mental health issues when they entwine themselves with their business so much that when something bad happens at the business, like it makes them a bad person in their own mind. So you have to hold these two thoughts also are totally against each other. Number one, this is the most important thing I could possibly be doing. And number two, if it all goes away tomorrow, that's okay. Like those are great. You have to, because otherwise it's too dangerous. Like I think it's too risky to just glob onto, this is the most important thing in the world, and if it falls apart, then I'm a total failure, it's a disaster, and everyone in the world is, loses out, and it's so important, and like my self-esteem is built around it, and all of those issues, which I think is what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. I think they're unhealthy because of it. You kind of have to have this, at the same time, while I believe all those things, if it all blows up tomorrow, like I'm gonna be okay. Like I can live on ramen. I've done it before.